greetings, and welcome to yet another girl. Who don't you know? You know it's me, Marilyn Green, the hostess with the mostest. And I'm coming today for one purpose. I need to transform your mind, and I do it one show at a time. All right. So I'm telling you, you're going to be delighted in my guests today. I like all my guests, but I have to say something super nice about them, right? They all super, right? So I need you to do me a favor. I need you to like it. I need you to, what you do, subscribe it, turn that little notification bell on, okay? Because I got plenty more, as they say, in a bag that's ready to pop out. All right, so today I am talking to a person that is so super great that it is hard to even capture her to come on and talk about the things that are dear to her heart. Now, if you're looking at this, whenever you look at it, we are filming or we are recording this in the month of February. And the reason why I'm doing what I'm going to talk about in the month of February, because February is supposedly the month of love, right? And if you ever follow my show, or you need to follow it, how about that? If you follow my show, you know in October, I do 5 weeks or 4 to 5 weeks of what I call Pynkk Voices. And Pynkk Voices is allowing breast cancer survivors and thrivers to come on themselves or with their family to tell their story. I know that God told me there was something healing about the fact when they're able to tell their story. Number one. And number two, I want them to tell you their own story, because every time you think about breast cancer, it's not something that you woke up in the morning, it's a lump in your breast, okay? I've had guests on and say their hair started to fall off. I've had guests on and said that they thought it was a mosquito bite. So it comes different ways on different people. So each one of my guests that talks about breast cancer, they got their stories, okay? So without further ado, I'm going to say, hey girl, hey, to Miss Stephanie Lee. Hey Stephanie, what's up?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm great.
That is so good. That is so good. So I'll jump it off. Like I said, I'm happy to have you on. And everybody wants to know, what is your story? Tell us, can you tell us a little bit about your story and how you did? You know, just go for it and we'll flow. Go for it.
Well, I'm glad to be here too. I had a sister by the name of Pamela Lee that was diagnosed with breast cancer, and we lost her in '06. And 10 years later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was off one day and I was sitting up in my bed and I said, oh, I didn't do my exam. And so I did, and I felt the lump at 1 o'clock. And I was like, okay, in the morning I'll call my OB and see what's going on. And so I called her, and she had sent me to get checked out, and they was going to send me home and tell me to come back in a year. And I told them, no,
What?
I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. That's what they do. They send us home. And when you come back, you probably stage 4, stage 3. And I was adamant. I was like, I was sitting up and found the lump. And so I set up, and they did the ultrasound, and they found the lump. And then I had to do a biopsy. Of course, I'm scared. You know, I didn't think it was a death sentence, but I'm scared. So I talked to my siblings, and I told them I want them to go to the doctor's office with me for my appointment. And so my best friend Mookie went with me. And so we went in a room, and Mookie didn't come in. Her name is Sabrina. We call her Mookie.
I love that, Mookie. I'm like, Mookie! Okay.
And so I looked at my sisters, and I was like, why Mookie ain't in here? And they was like, I don't know. And so the nurse came in, and I said, I'm trying to figure out why my friend is not in here. She said, well, we just said your sister. I said, well, she's a sister. Been knowing her all my life. Our parents was pregnant together. And so when she went to go get Sabrina, my sister Cheryl went to tell me that Mookie was having issues with her breast. And I'm like, what you mean? And I was like, oh, no. I said, how this going to work? How, we support each other. How this going to work? And so of course, tears rolling. And when she come in and I said, when was you going to tell me? And she looked and my sister was like, y'all tell each other everything. So it was as if God say, Sabrina, I'm going to put you over here for a year. You're going to walk with Stephanie, get her through what she got to go through. So they told me I was going to have to do radiation. So when they removed the cancer, they called me and told me I had to go. I met all my doctors. I had great doctors in Missouri Baptist Hospital. And so they told me I had to go see. Yeah, I love it. They told me I had to go see Dr. Lee. And I asked the lady, well, I got to go see Dr. Lee. That's the chemo doctor. I'm doing radiation. I just need to see Dr. Dyke. And she said, I can't explain it to you, but you will go see him before you come and see Dr. Dyke. So I went to see Dr. Lee. My sister went with me, and he said, we want you to do chemo. And my heart just dropped because that wasn't the plan that they had for me. And I was like, that's not the plan. He said, we want to make sure we get everything, and we want you to do chemo. And I was like, okay. So I had to do 12 rounds of chemo. Okay. Losing my hair was nothing. I always kept short hair. It was losing my eyebrows and eyelashes. He said, Stephanie used makeup and kept going. My sister Cheryl wasn't happy. We was laughing about it. She said, he is funny. And yes, he is. And so I did that. And of course, I had to take this pill for 5 years.
You had to take what?
A pill for 5 years.
Okay.
And I had to do chemo for a year. I had 2 types of chemos that I had to do. So my hair came out and it was hurt. My head was just hurting. And so my friend she was my beautician and my barber. She cut it down low. And one morning I woke up, it was all gone. And I was okay. The era of that I was growing up, you tell everything. My mother was like, Steph, put a hat on. I'm not putting no hat on. Steph, put a hat on. I'm not putting a hat on. You need to cover your head. Everybody don't need to know what you're going through. I said, somebody went through this and we didn't know. That's how I felt. Yes. I don't know for sure, but that's how I felt. I said, get on the phone and call all your girlfriends and tell them what I'm going through and tell them that I need them to pray. But I want to go back. I went around my mom for 2 months to show her I was okay because she lost her child to this disease. So when they set my
sister, right?
Yes. When they set my surgery, me and Sabrina went to my sister Cassandra's house, and I told my mom, and you could just see the sadness coming over her. I said, Mom, I've been around 2 months. I said, have you seen anything different? She said, no, but why you didn't tell me? I needed you to know that I was going to be okay. I needed you to see that this didn't define me, didn't change me. I needed you to know this. And she said, okay, what you need me to do? I said, continue to pray for me and that I could spend the night with you every Thursday, get in your bed, get up on Friday and go get my treatment, come back to you, stay a little bit and then drive home. I stayed up in St. Peter's at the time. When I tell you my bond with my mother was stronger than ever because I got to be the little girl again, her baby, I was the last of her children. Well, I had a younger sister. She didn't live but for 9 months, had heart issues. But I got to get in her bed and sleep with her every Thursday and got up on Friday. Even if once I was done, I still went and got in her bed. It's nothing like getting in your mother's bed. So fast forward, I talked to God. I told God, I don't want to look sick. And I said, I hate throwing up. That cannot be a part of my process. And I just started talking to him like he was my buddy, my friend, which he is. And he's my father. And so I walked through chemo with no problem. I would get chemo on Friday and would go to work on Saturday. And I was a manager at Sam's Club at the time.
Oh,
So I did that, and then started my radiation. The radiation did me in. And it wasn't the
okay.
actual radiation, it was going into this big vault that they had to close this door and this
Mm-hmm.
humongous machine. And it was 10 minutes, but it seemed like 10 hours.
Wow.
And the first day, I ended up talking to Karen for the first 10 minutes. And the nurse came out and she said, or the tech, whatever you want to call her, she said, Stephanie, who was you talking to? I said, I was talking to Karen on my phone. She said, the phones don't work in here. I said, you don't know who my daddy is. My daddy making it work for me.
Wait, hold on,
'Cause
hold on, 1 second. Hold on. So you was talking to Karen, but she's telling you phones don't work. Is that what you're
in,
trying to
in that
say?
in that vault, yes, ma'am.
Okay, then go ahead. Go ahead. I just want to make it clear. Go ahead.
And I talked, so we laughed, and so I talked to my sister Sandra. Sandra was my radiation partner. Cheryl was my chemo. Cheryl is the
Mm-hmm.
oldest. Sandra is the second oldest girl. And
Right.
so every Friday, no, I went to radiation every day. Ooh, every day. And so me and Sandra talked, and at the time she had her grandbaby was, and we talked about her grandbaby. We talked about the Bible. She read the Bible. We talked about God. And before you know it, it was over. I didn't focus on being in this vault because I'm claustrophobia. It's a control
Okay.
thing. And I just needed to
Right.
be, I had to go through it. And Dr. Dyke told me I had to because he walked me down my first day. He said, I do this with everybody. No, you do not. You don't have time to walk everybody through this. And when I walked in, I
Right.
said, this is not the machine you showed me. This is not the room. But I got through it. I cried every day with the
Uh-huh.
with the radiation. So I walked that through. I walked the year of doing chemo, and you just didn't see what I went through. I didn't look like what I went through.
I
And I
got it.
told God, if I had to have a moment to cry, a pity party, don't let me stay there and don't let it be public.
Yes.
And whatever you
Yes.
do, please don't let me cry around my siblings and my mom. And he did everything I
He
asked.
honored you. He honored.
He's
You know
so
what,
honored.
Stephanie? Your story is so remarkable because you got so much stuff bundled in here that people who are going through or potentially whatever, right? And so what you're talking about is really universal for any type of hardship. You've said something about your support. You need a support system,
Oh,
right?
I had a
You
great.
said a bunch of things about God. You have to have a strong belief system, you know, and just listening to you, you sound like you did not waver.
No,
Okay. You know what I'm saying? You kept it right there. Right there. Like I ain't going to the left, I ain't going to the right. I'm gonna stay right here, right in the middle, and keep
yes,
myself super focused. And that's one of the things that I believe. And I've talked to many breast cancer survivors and thrivers and all that. That they have one common denominator that they always talk about. They talk about their support system and they talk about their belief system, right? And so I know that that is what really brought you through. Now let me get to some questions really quick here, if you don't mind. Did you did you have to do a mastectomy or what happened with all that?
they did a lumpectomy and just removed it. I was at the beginning
Okay.
stage of stage
Okay.
one.
Good. Good.
It was
Good.
at the
Good.
beginning.
Good. So, do you attribute the fact that, and you said it best, it's basically what your sister passed from kept you saying, I need to do a self exam. Is that right? Is that kind of
Yes,
like how it went? And
self-exam.
that's how it's found. But I believe because of what you didn't tell me with your sister and I, that you were doing your yearly checkups. Is that correct?
Yes,
You was going
correct,
to get the mammograms and right. You were doing
correct.
everything. Okay,
Yes,
so you're speaking about the value of self examinations, ladies. Okay, And
Yes.
let me switch a little bit and talk about something that's dear to you now. You didn't just go through this. You went through this and I don't know when God gave you this, but you started your own organization, right? And
Correct.
tell us about the Pynkk Table Organization. Tell us about that.
My baby. Yes, the
Your
Pynkk Table Organization.
baby.
Yes. But I wanna go back just a little bit.
Please.
God sent word to me prior to me getting diagnosed and finding that
Uh-huh.
lump. I was at my friend Dee's sister house and they was having Bible study and we was praying and her sister
Uh-huh.
came, put her hands on me and said, God told me to tell you he'll never leave you. And I
Okay.
know this because he's always been my protector no matter what. If I'll be going through a storm and don't even know I'm in a storm. And
Come
I
on.
find out he protected me. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what made me be the way I was when it came to that in my faith. I had faith, but I had faith. Once I
Faith.
walked through that, it really took a whole nother level for me to look at God totally different. I look at life totally different. I try to love. Now, if you come in and interrupt my peace, I gotta walk away. So I make
Fine.
sure that I stay in my peace. In my peace, I gotta have my peace.
You got
So
to.
back to my baby, my Pynkk
Yeah,
Table
let's talk about the
Organization,
baby. Okay.
my
Go
baby.
ahead.
So I went through a rough spell in my life and I was going through and I asked God, you gotta give me something to occupy my time because I'm
Wow.
retired. And
Okay.
I've been wanting to do it and I put it on the back burner. And I just started doing it and who gave me the name was Mary Wilson, believe it or not.
Mary
The
Wilson,
difference
Mary.
is, yes, she spells it Pynk, so I put a double K on mine. But
Okay.
Mary Wilson,
Mm-hmm.
I went to her and I said, would you be okay if I use pink the way you spelled it? And of course, my sister said yes. And so I
Mm-hmm.
birthed this organization. I had a vision. Out of all my mother's children, my mother had 10 kids. I'm the one that thinks out the box and I do unthinkable things that my siblings
Okay.
just
Amazing
don't do.
things.
Yes,
Amazing. Yeah.
amazing. When I say unthinkable, that is over the top. I don't think
I get it.
small. Yeah. And so
Yes.
um, I met my niece that I hadn't met. We knew we had her. And so we met and I was telling her what I wanted to do. She said, my play brother, rest his soul, Brandon, would be able to help you with your 501c3. When I say this
Mm-hmm.
man did everything for me to get my organization together, he did. So
Mm-hmm.
cool. April came, I got approved and got my paperwork. And I was like, I want to have a brunch. And I'm thinking, girl, you ain't got no money to have no brunch. I'm going to have a brunch.
I'm
So
going to
I
have.
wrote a text to my sibling telling them I need their support and I need them to help me. And by the way, if you support me, that's not for your ticket, right? So,
Right.
so September the 7th, I
You
set the
need to
date.
pay. You need to get some money. Get some money.
Baby,
Go ahead.
listen. So September the 17th was the date I set. Prior to that, I lost my mom in April of
Oh.
2022. And my mother lived a good life. And my
Mm-hmm.
mother showed me a lot of things and taught me a lot of things. My parents were great parents. My dad too. I gotta talk about, I'm a daddy's girl. But so I knew I still had to push forward. And every day I would call my sister Marsha. She always thought she was so much older than me. I said, girl, you're just 2 days older than me in 25 hours. But she had a year or so older than me. And I would cry to her. I said, I thought I would be okay letting mama go. And so we would talk about that. And then I started talking about what I wanted to do because April, I started telling him. And she said, you're going to do it. We're going to do it. I got you. My
Right.
sister got sick. This a new sister. This another sister got sick and passed the day before my event.
Girl, what?
When I say me and Marsha was like oil and water growing up, but my
But that would
daddy
hit you
taught me
hard.
that
That
hit me
hit you
hard.
hard, didn't it?
That it still does. It still does.
I can
And what
see
I
it. I can
love,
see it.
what I love about it, my dad taught me how to give unconditionally with no strings
Mm-hmm.
attached. He
Mm-hmm.
would give me an allowance and he would tell me I had to share with Marsha. That used to irk my whole soul. But I did it. But one day I didn't. And when it was time for me to get my allowance, he didn't give it to me. He gave it straight to Marsha. And we laugh
Wow.
about it. But he always said, if you got something and she don't, you support her and give it to her. So when Marsha passed the day before my event, I was like, God, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. So I'm getting my face done. And I don't have kids, so my nephews and nieces are my babies. So my
Mm-hmm.
nephew, Dwayne, I ain't gonna call his nickname because he gonna get me. Dwayne about
I want to
6'5".
hear it. Okay, I
So
want to
when my
hear what's the
sister
nickname.
Zelda had him, she called him Pooh. He had Winnie the
Okay.
Pooh all over his room, right? But he's
Oh,
6'5", and I'm the only one still calling
what?
Pooh. I'm the
Okay.
only one. So he came in and she was just finishing my face. And as soon as I seen him, I broke. And all I could say was, I'm sorry, because I'm the one that's always strong and help them through
Mm-hmm.
whatever they going through. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And then my sister Pam's son came and I broke again. I'm like, I'm gonna be okay. My makeup gonna be jacked up and I'm gonna be
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Went
Got
to
it.
the event, right. A lot of people didn't know that Marsha passed because it happened that evening. So only immediate family knew. So my immediate family was coming to me and they thought I was mad because the young lady was still decorating. No, she did a amazing job. And that was, but I
Right.
couldn't tell nobody why I was crying because I couldn't get it out. And, you know, my little cousin Yolanda said, come on. And we walked to the bathroom and I just started screaming, just letting it out, just screaming. I don't know when I
Right.
stopped crying, but I stopped. But anyway, moving forward, a beautiful brunch. My nephew, I don't know if you ever heard of Janera Wilson. He sings the
Mm-mm.
national anthem all over. He did the Lord's Prayer. I prayed, had a circle around me, and I prayed. He did the Lord's Prayer, wasn't a dry eye in that place. And we had
Mm.
such a good time. I don't remember half the things I did that day because I was so numb. So,
Right.
you know, I can hear my sister saying, you got to keep doing it. You
Yes.
gotta keep doing it. This is what you're supposed to do. Or I can hear her say, "Oh, you so over the top, Steph." She always told me that you just over the top. You just do too much.
Over the top. You just over the top.
Yeah,
Okay.
you just do too much.
You
And
just
so,
extra. Extra.
yeah, and so my adventure started going to help others. So my niece, which was my right hand person, at Wanaka got diagnosed and I wanted to take over her walk. I wanted to just take over everything. And I told
Mm.
myself, you gotta let her walk through this. She gonna call you when she needs you. And she did.
Right.
She's cancer-free, healed, living her best
Right.
life, got her grandbabies. So it hits so hard, this
In
disease.
different, you know what, Steph, in different ways. But let me ask this question: does breast cancer run in your family,
No,
or
ma'am,
what?
I don't claim that. No, ma'am.
I mean, was it? Does anybody have it before you that
My
you
sister
know of?
Pam. So
Pam,
let's
right?
look back. Pam wasn't the first one. I have a cousin
Okay,
named Allie.
I
That's my
got you.
mother's sister's child. She had
Okay.
it. Then Pam, and then my niece Linda. We lost her to breast cancer on my dad's
Mm-hmm.
side. Had it.
Mm-hmm.
So when the doctors told me that, I said, absolutely, I'm not claiming that. No,
I
I'm not
follow. I
claiming.
follow with the claiming. I
Yeah,
follow, and I respect that.
I don't even use the word remission because to me, you
Mm-hmm.
saying it could come back. No, it cannot. My
Right.
doctor wanted to
Right.
keep my port in for 5 years. I told him, no, God healed me. I'm good. You got to June,
I'm
take
done
this
with
off.
this.
Only
Right,
thing
I'm
that
done
did
with
was
this.
I didn't have to get stick in my arm for y'all to draw blood. You took it out of there, and it was easy. But yeah.
But other
But
than
my
that, right?
Pynkk
Okay,
Table,
and you know that's a powerful word though, or step to say no, I don't claim that, and don't run into.
I
I
don't.
mean, that's what's the confessions, affirmations, whatever you want to say. It's a belief
Yeah.
system. Now let me ask you this. Now it's one thing that I went on your website, and since then, you know, I have interviewed a person that it became interesting to me. And if anybody goes to their website, her website, it will show you their what is it, your commitment to men with breast cancer.
Yes.
How did you get there? As far as how did you start to support that?
Because I called one day to where I go get my mammogram and said, "Hey, do you have any literature on men that's being
Mm-hmm.
diagnosed with breast cancer?" And they was like, "No." And then I called a couple of more and they was like, "No." I'm like, "Wait a minute. So how do we educate the men about breast cancer?" I have brothers, nephews, male cousins, male friends. How do we educate them? And I met this amazing man years ago named Tim. And Tim is a breast
Mm-hmm.
cancer survivor. He's the face
Mm-hmm.
of my baby. If you go on there, you will
Yep,
see him. He's the
he
face
is.
of my organization. And his story is amazing. And I'm like, wow, I actually met, this was way before Pynkk Table, that I met
Mm-hmm.
someone that had this disease and lived to tell about it. And
Right.
I, I love me some Tim and his wife. But it's amazing that a lot of people don't know about men with breast
Mm-hmm.
cancer. And
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
worry about that. You know, you go to the mammogram bus, but they don't have it where the men can go on the bus and get checked out.
Wow.
That needs to be updated. That needs to be
Yes.
validated for the men, where when we have events and we have those, breast cancer bus out there to check us, we need to be able to check the
Mm-hmm.
men too.
Yeah. And you know, the thing about the men thing is that, and I mean it in a nice way, the men thing is that because they think that they cannot, I was thinking about this before I got on this podcast, is that breast cancer the cancer happens to be in the breast area. Okay. As we know, cancer can be any place, right?
Right.
So, but because breasts are, as they say, tatas or the girls or whatever, is so associated with females. But even though we have the tatas like that, it's still tissue and it's still it's still part of our
Yeah.
body. And the man has the same thing. He has his all pumped up in some cases he don't.
Yes.
But it's still part of the body that
Yes.
can be affected by cancer. And they don't look at it because they're looking at the girls like, ooh wee, okay, that's what they look about the tatas and all that.
Right.
So I
Right.
think that I really do commend you for even bringing that out, and so everybody knows and stuff. I did interview Tim,
I
So if you go
know.
to my YouTube page, you'll get to see his testimony. Very very humble, nice,
Yeah.
kind man. Talk about a little bit. I think he talked about the support of his wife and things of that
Yes.
nature. But he's not he's not distraught or mad or even he's not even embarrassed about it. It's just something that happened, you know. And to be that man that says I have breast cancer, he was the only man I've ever met, the
Yeah.
only man I've ever met. So and yeah, that's good. So let me ask you this: what's next for Pynkk Table? What y'all doing next?
So in March, I'm having a luncheon fundraiser. It's a private event, so it should be nice. If my sister was living, she'd say I'm over the top. But I'm having
Yet
that, and then
again,
my
I
said it
say yet
again,
again over the
yet
top.
again, and then having my breast cancer walk in October. I'm meeting with Florissant on the 27th of this month to set the date and get everything rolling. But what I'm excited about, next year will be my 5-year anniversary for Pynkk Table, and I'm already starting on that. It's gonna be amazing.
Oh wow! Oh
I'm starting on it out.
wow!
I had a meeting the other day with an amazing man that's going to help me achieve my goal and do what I need to do for my gala that I will have in September of 27.
Okay, I hope to be there. If not, I'm gonna talk about you later. I'm wrong. No, I won't. But anyway,
You'll
like,
be there.
wait a minute, you said it on my show, okay? And
You'll be there.
whatever. Please invite me. Well, you know what? We are all out of time, but it's one thing that I want you to tell someone who is going through, or someone who is just facing the go through, if you will, right? With this disease, right? What would you say to them, Stephanie?
I would tell them to reach out to God. Talk to him when you're in your darkest hour. He would never leave you, and put yourself around people that'll lift you up and they help you get through this and not handicap you or to tell you to keep fighting. It doesn't have to be a death sentence. And live your life, because I sure am. I'm living my life to the fullest. Know that God can help you. All you have to do is ask. You tell him his word, because he said it. Ask and it shall be given. And you ask him to help you and to heal you, and believe that every day. Just thank him for healing you no matter what throughout the day. I promise you he can help you.
Wow. I like that part throughout the day, the confessions. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
The confessions throughout the whole day.
Yes.
Wow. You know what, Stephanie? I have really enjoyed our time. It has been a time of basically the word I hear is rejoicing, because
Yes.
every time you tell your story, I just believe that people are getting healed all over the land, and you're getting healed as well. I
Yes.
believe that your sister is looking down and saying, "Ooh, that's my baby sister right there," okay, or whatever, right? Okay, I
Right.
just believe that you're
Right.
doing a good thing, and I'm happy for Pynkk Table Organization and all that and everything you're doing. And so, hey, all I can say is keep up the good work and just keep on doing you, right? And I love the
I
part about you
will.
said, live your life, okay?
Yeah.
So thanks so much
Enjoy it.
for joining me. And this is going to be coming out in February, but it's also going to be coming out again in October. I'm telling you ahead of time, so I won't be bugging you. I'll just use the same tape. I use the
If
same
not,
one.
I'll come back. If not,
girl, you
I'll come
hard.
back.
You hard. It's hard to get Stephanie. I'm just telling y'all right now, it's hard to get her. But she is
Yes.
well respected, well known.
Thank you.
People love her. All right. Somebody told me today, well, you got the right one. I'm like, okay, don't get in. So no,
Oh,
I love your spirit. I love your peace. I love everything about you, Stephanie. I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to meet you. And you're right,
same
it is a
here.
sisterhood that is going to be just forged.
Yes.
We hit it off right.
Thank you,
It went right. And I'm just excited about it. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. So hey, y'all out there in Facebook land, YouTube land, wherever land you in, okay? Hey, you have been listening to Marilyn Green and my wonderful guest Stephanie Lee. And you know who I am. I'm the hostess with the mostest on Girl Who Don't You Know. And I need you to like it, share it, subscribe, and do all that other thing. So until next time, I always say peace out.